Being an evolution is the stupidest thing you can do. Yes, we're gonna talk about Jesus.
See, atheists use evolution as a way to explain the origins of life, but if we're being honest, it's just stupid.
Stupid because evolution doesn't explain the origin of life, but a process of life. Don't get me wrong, I believe evolution is right to some extent. For example, some animals develop certain mutations that are adapted because of their current lifestyle. But evolution has never once documented a species change to another species. And if we come from monkeys, and those are two different species. Besides that point, evolution doesn't explain how it all even came to be. Where did the monkeys come from? I know what you're thinking. Where did God come from then? See, I believe that because God created time, he exists outside of it. Therefore, he's not bound to the same laws that we are bound to. Everything in our universe has a beginning and an end. Because God created the concept of beginning and end, he exists outside of that. Now listen, I'm not claiming to know all the answers and I can't prove everything that I'm telling you. I just believe that the Bible has enough evidence to back it up. It has been proven to be correct over decades of time. So yes, I still have to have faith, but so do you. If this video motivated you, share with a friend and follow for more daily Christian videos.
Let me explain to all you Christians who keep talking about evolution, and yet you don't understand how evolution works. It is very clear by your statement that this gentleman has no idea about how evolution works if he thinks that we came from monkeys. And as I get many a times, people say, well, if we evolved from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys here? I'll explain that in just a second. Matter of fact, I'll draw it up on the board. But before I go there, let me break something down for you. There's a difference between evolution, because evolution doesn't tell you how life began. It tells you about how life have it come to being as it is today, not how life began. What you're talking about is a biogenesis. Biogenesis explains how life began on Earth, and it is a hypothesis that a non-living matter material began a process to become a more complex material, and then eventually the complexity of that non-living material becomes a living material because of its processes over billions of years. And as we know, the Earth is billions of years old, as well as the universe that we know of today is billions of years old as well. And I'll explain that as far as your beginning and ending, when did it begin, when did it end as well. But first, let's explain evolution in the very simplest way for you to understand that man don't come from monkeys. So in the evolutionary thought process, there is a common ancestor. Evolution doesn't try to explain where this ancestor came from. That's the biogenesis. That explains that. But what evolution says is that from this ancestor, came through mutations based on the environment and the complex organisms becoming smarter and utilizing different tools, and over time, a branch through whatever mutation, whatever happened, branched off and became different versions of Homo sapiens, where there's Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthal, whatever versions you want to talk about, whatever split from that common ancestor became all the Homo everythings until we get to Homo sapien, which is us. From another line, based on environments, you got another split of different types that then becomes the great apes. This will be your chimpanzees, your gorillas. They became the great apes. And then from another line, you had different branches that became different things until you get monkeys. So until you get your baboons and other monkeys of that nature. Now, just for clarification, what was found and people claim is the oldest ancestor of man, which is not man, but is that was found by Levy, is a member of the great apes. It's an ancient chimpanzee. It is not. Lucy is an ancient chimpanzee. Has nothing to do with Homo sapiens and Homo erectus, Homo habilis, has nothing to do with those. So when we say a common ancestor with monkeys, We're not saying that evolution, that through evolution from this line that is monkeys, that man originated from. Not from the great apes. Man didn't come from the great apes either. But by whatever began the homo whatever statuses, that is where modern day man comes from. This is why we share genes up to 98% with these other branches because of the common ancestor. Where the common ancestor comes from, we don't know yet. It's unknown. We don't know. But this is what Biogenesis, that hypothesis is coming from. So we, in the scientific community, and I'm not claiming to be a scientist, but someone who studies science, a hermetic alchemist, as I would claim myself to be, we know that we don't have a problem saying we don't know or we don't know yet. The information we have today has come over thousands of years of research and study, and the overwhelming majority of that information has come over the last 100 or so years. So there's still a lot to be discovered. Now, this gentleman talked about how there has to be a beginning and an ending, and that God is outside of space and time. But you have no proof of that. That is purely based on your belief and not based on any facts, but what your Bible is saying. And although you claim that there are many proofs that the Bible has, the Bible doesn't prove anything or has nothing historic about it that doesn't begin until around the 700 BCE, 800 BCE time frame, when it's listing certain kings that existed. Those things, sure. But does that mean that when King Hezekiah was being assaulted by the Assyrians, as we can say, yes, we can agree on that. But that doesn't mean that an angel killed 180,000 of the Assyrian troops. No, what we do see in the record, as far as the Assyrians are concerned, is that those troops were poured out because Hezekiah went ahead and paid the tribute to Sennacherib. So anything like that, I'll give you. Anything prior to the 8th century BCE, there is absolutely zero facts about it. No Moses, no Joshua, no Joseph in Egypt, no Exodus, no flood. None of those things are true. And by the way, we are doing a webinar on May the 4th. You can find the link on my Facebook and YouTube page on most of my videos to that seminar, that webinar. So join us there. Then he goes into about how the ending and beginning. No one in science says that the universe has a beginning. It doesn't work that way in science. This is another misconception that you have. You believe that this universe was just created by your God, and that this God created the earth as he hovered over the waters, which means that there was something prior to this creation, which is why the correct translation would be when God created, not in the beginning God created, but when he created, started recreating over something that was already here prior to. But in science, our universe expanded from a singularity. Prior to our universe expansion, there was another universe that collapsed into this expansion, into this singularity, that then birthed out our currently known universe. So there is no beginning to the universe, just our understanding of our universe. And even within our universe, we see singularities that burst out and create more material within our universe. So it's a constant process. It is a process that is eternal. It is a process that has no end, has no beginning. It's constant in the same way that you think your God is. But yet we can see the science of this, but there is no science to back up your belief, because it's simply belief. It's faith, meaning that you just accept it without any facts. The same way you accept all the things you claim to be credible in your Bible without facts. So free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is not